few moments ago, I placed a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And as I stepped back and stood during the moment of silence that followed, I said a small prayer. And it occurred to me that each of my predecessors has had a similar moment, and I wondered if our prayers weren't very much the same, if not identical. We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And I wonder, in fact, if all Americans' prayers aren't the same as those I mentioned a moment ago. For all we can ever do for our heroes is remember them and remember what they did, and memories are transmitted through words. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. And all we can do is remember. There's always someone who is remembering for us. No matter what time of year it is or what time of day, there are always people who come to this cemetery, leave a flag or a flower or a little rock on a headstone, and they stop and bow their heads and communicate what they wished to communicate. I think sometimes of General Matthew Ridgway, who the night before D-Day tossed sleepless on his cot and talked to the Lord and listened for the promise that God made to Joshua, "I will not fail thee nor forsake thee." We are surrounded today by the dead of our wars. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us. All we can do is try to see that other young men never have to join them. Today, as never before, we must pledge to remember the things that will continue the peace. Today, as never before, we must pray for God's help in broadening and deepening the peace we enjoy. Let us pray for freedom and justice and a more stable world. And let us make a compact today with the dead. A promise in the words for which General Ridgway listened: "I will not fail thee nor forsake thee."
I didn't have no motivation to do it. Zero motivation to do anything. Zero motivation to have a shave, zero to brush your teeth, even have a shower, nothing. I can't tell you in words how I felt, how down I was. When you lose control of your own mind, you're in a bad place. I just wanted to show the world that if mental health could bring somebody as big as me and as strong as me and, you know, the stereotype heavyweight champion of the world to my knees, then it could bring anybody to the knees. And I thought to myself, if I can show the world that you can come back from it and to get back in shape and get back to the top, then anybody can do it. I knew something was wrong with me my whole life. Growing up as a child, I'd feel a loneliness even when I was with other people. I wasn't a confident character what you see today. I was a very shy, reserved, skinny little whippet kid. I was always told that I couldn't do stuff and I'd never do anything, I'd never achieve anything, so that made me worse, basically. I've experienced the highest highs and the lowest lows in life. Something I'd worked for my whole life, and when I finally achieved it, it was like, oh well, that was a load of rubbish. I wasn't expecting now to feel like this. Like I said to you before, I just felt like an emptiness, a deep gaping hole of nothing. Darkness and grey clouds. Every day was grey. And I felt like I had nothing to look forward to. I was worthless. It was just a horrible, horrible feeling that people need to understand that many people are in the same boat. They don't have to be very successful sports athletes to feel like this. Anybody from day to day has the same feelings. What does it all mean? What does being a world champion really mean? But what I was trying to say was, what does it all really mean when I'm not well on the inside? I was in a position of power. I had glory, fame, achievements, money, a family, all earthly assets that one could want. But it meant nothing, so they couldn't understand why would this man feel like this. The repetitive thinking, the same stuff day in, day out, and it won't go away. And the more I'm trying to think, right, I want to be positive, negative. And everyone I was around was getting negative too because I was putting it on them. This went on for 18 months, of me battling my own self every day, drinking, abusing my body, eating rubbish, taking drugs. Everything I stood for didn't matter anymore. I'd never ever experienced anything in my whole life, even though I'd had anxiety before. This was the king daddy of all anxiety attacks. I was so sure I was going to die, but nothing mattered. I didn't care. All I wanted was atonement for my sins. I can't tell you in words how I felt, how down I was. When you lose control of your own mind, you're in a bad place. And it's a silent killer. It's almost like carbon monoxide poison. You can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't feel it, but you die. The way I explain mental health is you bottle up and then it just explodes. You can't bottle anymore. And that's when you're having your bad times. And I was drinking every day, something I'd never done in my life, to try and wash me sorrows away. But it come to a stage where, well, that's one way of doing it, but I'm going heavier and heavier. I was gaining 380, 390, 400 pounds, and I was very unhealthy. I didn't fit in anything I owned anymore. It wasn't me anymore. I had two bodies. Turning point was, I went out Halloween dressed as a skeleton in a fancy dress party. I went out about 9 o'clock and I expected to stay out all night and get smashed. I had one drink. I looked around me and I thought, what am I doing? I'm back normal again now, yeah? I'm back like thinking straight. Still drinking, but I'm thinking sensible again. And I called out to my wife, I said, Paris, here. She said, what? I said, tomorrow. I said, I start to turn my life around. I said, I promise you. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. From that day, I got my tracksuit on in the morning and I was going to run 2 miles. I got about 200 yards and stopped. And I thought, right, I can't run. I've run all my life, I've always been a very good runner. And I got 200 yards and I was totally gone. I could feel my belly moving on it. It wasn't like a fat like jelly, it was like solid brick. It was a horrible feeling. I thought, okay, I'm going to walk the rest, and I walked. And every day I'd go out on the canal and I'd do a little run in my sweatsuit. And every day I'd get a little bit further until I was doing 4 or 5 miles again. And then I come back and I worked my way back, and we worked repetitively, day in, day out. And at that time I was still sleeping with the light on. I couldn't sleep in the dark. You need to stimulate the mind. And I think training is a perfect way to do it. Working out, exercising. Whether you can do a lot or a little, you must do something. I give myself short-term goals and long-term goals. And I plan things more now. Where if I'm just not got anything on the horizon, I tend to wander and my mind goes AWOL. But when I've got something on planned and I've got things going and I want to do this and this, even if it doesn't have to be big things. It can be small, tiny goals that mean something to you as a person, as an individual. I'm very, very sure that working out and having a routine in your life is the answer for mental health problems. I want you to know that every day for 2 years was very grey and dark for me. But it will come back great again. You will have sunshine days again. Rose-coloured days warmed by the sun.
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. Now, I can't do it for you. I'm too old. I look around, I see these young faces, and I think, I mean, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man can make. I pissed away all my money, believe it or not. I chased off anyone who's ever loved me. And lately, I can't even stand the face I see in the mirror. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Hell yeah.
They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you.
Hell yeah.
You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen.
Hell yeah.
And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you gonna do?